FPL is finally back and we're about to enter the most important and busiest time of the season with 9 game weeks in just over a month. And in today's video, I will be giving you an update on my game week 12 transfer plan. So as always, if you're looking forward to it, make sure to drop a like and of course, smash that subscribe button for daily fantasy content. Enough waffling, let's get into today's video. So first up, a quick recap on how my team is looking going into game week 12. I wildcarded a couple of game weeks ago and I've halved my rank to 490k, so it's been a good wildcard so far. But I do think there are cracks appearing in the team already, which is not ideal. We have 2 free transfers though going into game week 12 and 0.6 million in the bank. So when we take a look at the team right now, what are the issues? Well, firstly, goalkeeper isn't great. I either got Sells away against Arsenal or Fabianski away against Newcastle. But again, am I making a goalkeeper transfer? Absolutely not. So Fabianski is going to come in. Hopefully he racks up some saves and maybe a penalty save if we are lucky. In terms of the defenders, Anderson is a cheap enabler at home against Wolves. Really happy with that. Dalot is a potential problem. Of course, we took the risk jumping in on Man United early. Well, I've got both Dalot and Garnacho in my team. The fixture's great, but is their game time going to be good? That is the thing I don't know right now. I feel more bullish about Dalot than that of Garnacho. And of course, Trent being flagged is not ideal. The plan was to keep him for game week 12, then sell him in game week 13. But I think I'm going to have to accelerate that move for this week because the fixture's great. But if he doesn't play it, the fixtures afterwards are difficult. And I think there are some really good enablers out there that I can go to free up some funds in this team. So if Trent has some bad news going into this game week, then he will be one of the 2 transfers that I definitely make. And I'll touch on some replacements in a minute. In terms of the rest of the team, we got flags. We got flags on Embuemo, flag on Cole Palmer, but I think he'll be absolutely fine, and a flag on Visser. Now, the big decision that I need to make with this team is Son. Now, with him right now, going into game week 12, the fixture is as tough as it gets away against Man City, but the position that Man City are in right now, I do think there could be an opportunity for Son to pick up some differential points. But of course, I'm going to touch on this video, the 3 alternatives out there, and then come to a conclusion whether keeping Son is the right move or moving to one of those 3 picks. So all in all, team looks okay, but we have issues in Trent, Son, and some rotation risk in the shape of Garnacho and maybe even Dalot. So let's take a look at my transfer plans now and exactly which players I'm planning to bring in. So as I mentioned, one of my 2 free transfers almost certainly is going to be selling Trent. The away fixture at Southampton really was the money fixture. And then after that, with him being 7 million, I just can't really justify keeping him in my team right now. I think Liverpool are a fantastic defence, but I don't think Trent is doing all of the additional stuff to justify going there. Now, with the fixture turn from game week 12 onwards, yes, Liverpool are still a good investment, but for me, the only team that I need to prioritise is going to be Arsenal. Now, I see a lot of people talking about cheap enablers like a Lewis Hall, for example, who I do think is fantastic. I would potentially look at that, but with my team structure right now, I need to keep one of those defenders as a premium to allow me to pivot into other options if I choose to. If I downgrade Trent to someone like a 4.4 million defender like Hall, then my most expensive defender is Dalot, and then I'm creating problems for my team. So we need to keep the structure first and foremost, and I think Arsenal are just an absolutely essential team for me to invest in. I've been pretty bullish on them and I feel really lucky that I've not had them in my team and I've not had any clean sheets against me because it just feels like the inevitable thing is going to happen with them, especially with some of their players returning now. I even think someone like an Odegaard is going to help them defensively. So the 3 options available to me is going to be Timber at the cheapest price of 5.5 million, Saliba at 6 million and Gabriel at 6.1 million. Now, the big thing that we need to decide right now is for someone buying fresh into the Arsenal defence, is it worth saving 0.5 million and going for Timber, or do I just pay the premium and go for Gabriel? So taking a look at the underlying numbers right now, remember Timber has played less minutes, but he still has been an ever-present in that Arsenal team. And remember, Ben White is going to be out for potentially up to 2 months. No idea right now on Calaflori, but we could see Thomas Partey play it right back at times once Calaflori returns. So I'm looking at Timber's numbers right now, and for him to be 5.5 million, I need to ask myself, is he a rotation risk? I do think he could be once Ben White and Calaflori return. So I need to really see something in the underlying numbers to justify going there at that price point, because I am seeing attempted assists better than that of Saliba and Gabriel at 1.31 per 90. That is great. But the XG is woeful. The expected assists is pretty poor as well. And in terms of the baseline bonus points at 1.84 per 90, he is considerably less than that of both Saliba and Gabriel. So I'm looking at this right now. I do think Timber is great to value at 5.5 million, but I'm looking to own this player for now until potentially the end of the season. And could Timber cause problems for my team later down the line? I think the answer is yes. And with me coming down from the price point of Trent, I have the funds available. So I think Saliba and Gabriel are just the no-brainers. I'm not seeing enough data right now from Timber to think, oh my God, this guy is phenomenal value at 5.5 million. So then it's Saliba versus Gabriel. Now, previously Gabriel was considerably more expensive than Saliba, but now he's only 6.1 million. I'm looking at the underlying numbers. Shots per 90, Gabriel is clear. We're looking at attempted assists. That is just not anything to consider. That is not going to happen with these centre-backs. And I'm looking at expected goals per 90 at 0.19. I still think Saliba is a brilliant option at 6 million. I think he's been really unlucky not to rack up more points as of all these Arsenal defenders. But with there only being 0.1 million difference, I just think I'd go for the guy who scores the most goals in that team. And it is going to be Gabriel. So I'm quite lucky his prices come down. But Trent to Gabriel just makes so much sense right now. I just can't justify going Timber based on the numbers that we're looking at right now. When we take a look at the fixtures, even though they are very mixed, I do think there are clean sheets on the horizon, and anybody that's considering Arsenal defenders, I still think now is the time to get them in your teams. So with one of my free transfers, Trent to Gabriel, I need to decide whether, first and foremost, I need to use the other one. And if I do, is that man going to be selling Son? So currently 9.9 million. I have three options that I am considering. That is going to be Bruno Fernandes at a cheaper price of 8.4 million, Odegaard at 8.2 million, and Saka at 10.1 million. I don't really want any other players. Yes, I've already got the best option in Cole Palmer and Mo Salah. I don't want to go to someone like a Phil Foden, and I don't want to mess up my team structure and downgrade all the way to a mid-price midfielder, maybe like a Brighton midfielder, for example. I need to keep the structure of three premiums, and any of these three allow me to do that. So the big questions I need to have right now is Bruno worth it opposed to these Arsenal midfielders? And then if the answer is no, is Saka considerably better than Odegaard? Because we're looking at nearly a £2 million saving if I was to go to Odegaard. So let's answer the first question right now. Is Bruno Fernandes worth bringing in? Now, we got the underlying numbers here. The big problem with Bruno Fernandes is that he's got a new manager in charge of Amorim. We have no idea where he is going to play. The only things that we do know is that Man United's fixtures over the next two are fantastic. Ipswich followed by Everton. Bruno Fernandes, inevitably, wherever he plays, is going to get guaranteed minutes. That is just a certainty. And three, we just know that Bruno Fernandes, historically, has always been a good option. It's just whether he gets the penalties on top of that to make him a phenomenal option like we saw a few seasons ago. So when we take a look at the numbers, again, this is a mixed period under Ten Hag, under Van Nistelrooy. 0.39 expected goals per 90 is fantastic. His creativity has always been good, 0.28 expected assists per 90. And also the bonus points, considering Man United have been woeful, he's still ticking over absolutely fine. A baseline bonus of 9.67, which is decent. So for me, being a Dalot owner, being a Garnacho owner, I'm in a very unique position where I already have two Man United, and I feel like I've got the wrong ones right now. And I think with the new manager coming in with Amorim, yes, it is a great time to go in with these fixtures, but right now, I feel like having no Arsenal means that I think I could just avoid Man United for now, or additional Man United. Wait and see what happens, because game week 14 away against Arsenal, even game week 15 against Forest isn't great, and then away against Man City in game week 16. I think as a 5-game week period, it's actually a great opportunity to just sit back, see what happens with Man United, and then maybe look to invest in them from game week 17 or 18 onwards. I know it's difficult because Bruno has been racking up the points over the last few weeks, but I'm happy just to sit back, see what happens, and then reassess after that period. So now it comes down to the Arsenal assets versus Son. So Odegaard's been out for obviously a lot of the season, so I have the numbers here, but you can see he's only played 4 games, And the numbers are just really difficult to come to any conclusions. But what we do know is that he's going to get guaranteed game time. He came back off the injury and played pretty much the whole game against Chelsea as it is. So Odegaard is locked in for minutes. He is Arteta's main man on the field. And we know that he is a great option. Goal scoring threat, creativity in this team. And when I look at Saka's numbers, he is just in a league of his own in terms of bonus points. He's phenomenal. XG per 90 at 0.32 is great. Expected assists 0.64 per 90. My big question is, what actually happens to Bukayo Saka once Odegaard comes into this team? Could we maybe see an uptick in his goal threat, but a reduction in his creativity? I think that is definitely a plausible situation because Odegaard, first and foremost, is a creator in this Arsenal team. Can I see both Odegaard and Saka being creative on that right-hand side? Maybe, but I think Odegaard is going to dig away at that creativity for Saka. But what I just look at right now with Bukayo Saka, I just see a player that has got guaranteed game time. He is the heart of that team, and we know that he is also on penalties. And for that reason, I think I'd probably rather go to Bukayo Saka, knowing that I could downgrade to Odegaard rather than go to Odegaard straight away, knowing that if he's the wrong pick and it's Saka, I then have to find more money to then upgrade to him. So I love the idea of going to Odegaard, but I just think Saka is the safe pick and it makes sense to go there. So the final decision, it is going to be Saka over Odegaard and both the Arsenal players over Bruno Fernandes. Now it's just a case of, do I sell Son? Because when we look at the numbers right now, he's played considerably less minutes than both Bruno and Saka, but an XG of 0.21 is not ideal. We spoke about this, how he's playing much more on the touchline as opposed to an inside forward that we've seen at times. But he is definitely one of the best creators in the league. 0.47 expected assists per 90, 2.71 attempted assists. He is brilliant for this Spurs team, and we've seen it even in last game against Ipswich, putting balls on the plate for teams just not being converted at times. And in terms of the bonus points as well, he is very similar to Saka. If Son gets an assist, he is picking up bonus points. He is very much that type of player. He's doing all of the good stuff. But with the fixtures coming up right now, I'm looking at the short term. Man City away is not ideal, but I do think in transition, Spurs can hurt Man City. We've seen that time and time again. Then Fulham at home is an okay fixture. Then we've got Bournemouth away, that could be tricky. Then Chelsea at home, followed by Southampton. When I look at Arsenal's fixtures, I think Forest isn't going to be a high-scoring game. West Ham may have a new manager by then, but I think that's an okay fixture. Man United isn't easy anymore. Against Amorim, I don't think it will be at all. Then Fulham away, very difficult. Then Everton at home. So I actually think the fixtures are very, very even between both Son and Bukayo Saka. So sitting here right now, I'm actually not completely sold on selling Son, going to Saka. I do think part of me thinks, is there actually an opportunity to wait one game week and reassess in game week 13? And maybe even see if Odegaard does emerge as the heart of that Arsenal team once again. So Son to Saka makes a lot of sense, but I'm not completely sold on the move this week. Now, the final thing that I want to show you in terms of my transfers is a little bit of a fixture ticker, but where I've highlighted is where players are going to be viable captaincy picks. And this is the only other reason why I'm a little bit hesitant regarding bringing in Bukayo Saka. So what I've done here is taken a look at game week 12, for example. I think Chelsea, I think Liverpool, and I think Man City are going to be the teams that we're looking to captain players. Palmer away against Leicester. We're looking at Salah away against Southampton. We're looking at Haaland at home against Spurs. I think those are the real standout options. I don't think anybody would pick someone like a Bukayo Saka over those three teams. Then we take a look at game week 13. Once again, Cole Palmer remains a fantastic option. Mbeumo, brilliant at home against Leicester. Saka away against West Ham, okay, but I would pick both Mbeumo and Palmer over him. And then, of course, you can, if you want to, go for Bruno Fernandes at home against Everton. When we take a look at game week 14, again, Cole Palmer remains one of the standout options. And Ollie Watkins at home against Brentford, if you want to go there. And Erling Haaland at home against Nottingham Forest. But again, I don't see a game week here where I would captain someone like a Bukayo Saka. Coming into game week 15, we've got Aston Villa, again, Watkins at home against Southampton, fantastic. We've got someone like a Mo Salah away against Everton, and we've got Erling Haaland away against Crystal Palace. Again, Saka away against Fulham, not an amazing fixture there. Finally, game week 16 and 17, we've got Cole Palmer in both. Brentford and Everton, I think, are viable picks. We got Newcastle, Alexander Isak for Leicester at home and Ipswich away. I think that is actually a great time if you want to go there also. Game week 16, I do think Saka is viable for Everton at home and Palace away. But then, do I think Salah's just better in both? The answer is going to be yes. Do I think Son's better in game week 16? Yes, against Southampton. And I think Man City with Erling Haaland is absolutely fine. So what I'm trying to say here is this. Cole Palmer is a viable captain for basically 5 of the next 6 game weeks. So he is absolutely imperative for your teams. And I also do think Mo Salah just remains at a fantastic long-term captaincy pick. So I'm paying 10.1 million for someone like Bukayo Saka. Am I ever going to captain him? And the answer is going to be no, because when the good fixtures happen for Arsenal, there are also fantastic alternative fixtures for players. And that's the only hesitancy about Bukayo Saka. If Odegaard at 2 million cheaper actually emerges as a player that won't outscore Saka but will tick over pretty comfortably, could I actually go Odegaard, captain people like Palmer and Salah each and every game week, and then shift the funds from Odegaard to someone like a Bruno Fernandes and have him as a long-term pick? Because if I go Saka, then that really does block me off of any other future moves there. So something to ponder about right now, but it's really interesting to see who those captaincy picks are over the long term. So take a look at my team for game week 12. As I've spoken about, we got 2 free transfers, 0.6 million in the bank. And based on what I said, yes, there are some other shiny picks that I could go for in defense. But for me, as you can see, I brought in Gabriel. I haven't confirmed that just yet because I'm keeping an eye on potential price changes in the game. But Trent to Gabriel just makes a lot of sense. Yes, I'm going to go Lewis Hall, but I just don't really want to change that structure. So that makes a lot of sense. And then it gives me 1.5 million in the bank. Now, when I look at the rest of game week 12 in my team, a few things as I mentioned. I don't know if Dallow's going to play, but I could bring in Nori worst case scenario. And Garnacho is also a huge problem for me. I do think if we get confirmation that Vissa is available, I'd even be inclined just to start Vissa over Garnacho for that guaranteed game time. So I could easily leave my team like this. I really do think this team is absolutely fine, as I've spoken about, starting Vissa over Garnacho if we do have those concerns. The other move that I can make, as I've spoken about, if I don't think Son is true value for the Man City game, is just do probably what all of the analytics say, what all of the projections say, and just get my team to this place. Do my 2 free transfers, do Trent to Gabriel, and then do Son to Saka, knowing that this team long-term is fantastic, and it still gives me 1.3 million in the bank, which is a solid position to be in. However, with that 1.3 million, I do look at the rest of my team and think there's not really many other upgrades that I can make to my team. I can't really get any of my forwards to an Alexander Isak, and I can't really upgrade Garnacho, for example, to someone like a Bruno Fernandes. So this team here just makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't complain anybody making these moves. But the one thing I do want to show you is a -4, which is a little bit interesting. It does resolve a few issues, but maybe causes some longer term. Now, if we are of the opinion that Odegaard is just going to come into this team and he's going to tick over really nicely at 8.2 million and he's going to be fantastic, what then happens is it leaves me 3.2 million in the bank. Now, of course, you're going to sit there and say, yes, but you don't have Bukayo Saka, and I absolutely agree. Over the next 10 game weeks, I fully expect Bukayo Saka to outscore Odegaard, and I can imagine both of them tick along very similar like this, and then all of a sudden, Saka just starts to pick up those bonus points and he pulls away from Odegaard. But when I look at my team right now with 3.2 million, that is a lot of flexibility available. So one move that I could do, and this would be for a -4, but maybe as more of a long-term perspective, is get rid of Garnacho with the assumption that I've just brought in a player that is a rotation risk. Now, of course, doing that before we even get the first game of Amorim is probably a little bit risky, to say the least. But if I'm of the opinion that Bruno Fernandes, regardless, is going to be key in this team, and I think he will be, I could just take a -4, get it done, do Garnacho to Bruno Fernandes. I could then do Son to Odegaard and Trent to Gabriel and have my team looking like this longer term. Is it better, or should I just have Saka? Let me know in the comment section. The other move that I could do, for example, if that player was to remain as Garnacho, which it easily could do so, but as I mentioned, I think Garnacho is going to be a problem for me, is upgrade one of my forwards and bring in someone like Alexander Isak. I think long-term Raul is going to be a bit of a problem, and Isak could easily come in with that price point here. And all of a sudden, I've got that premium forward. So that's the only reason why I'm considering the -4 and considering Odegaard. If I go Bukayo Saka, the dreams of Bruno Fernandes and Alexander Isak are basically gone until I restructure my team in a few weeks. but just going for Odegaard opens up so many doors for my team and gives me so many different directions to go in. So let me know in the comment section which one do you prefer. Do you prefer just doing Gabriel and keeping Son? Do you like Gabriel and Saka? Or do you like the really aggressive -4 of Gabriel, Odegaard and Bruno Fernandes / Alexander Isak? I'd be really interested to know. Yes, guys, okay, that's going to wrap up today's Game Week 12 updated transfer plans video. As I mentioned, I'm almost certain I am making the Trent to Gabriel move, but the other transfer / -4 is still up for debate. Let me know your transfer plans in the comment section. As always, I'll get to all of them between now and the deadline. And let me know, of course, if you still have your wildcard available. There will be a wildcard video coming tomorrow of my top picks for those teams. As always, if you enjoyed it, make sure you drop a like and, of course, smash the subscribe button for daily fantasy content. Have a great day and I'll see you real soon. Cheers.